Here's your General Hospital recap on what happened in Port Charles today. Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025. At the Five Poppies Resort, Jocelyn and Vaughn were still being held captive in an empty room. Joss was shocked that Britt didn't help them. Pascal and one of his henchmen brought water, but would only give it to them in exchange for information. Joss and Vaughn tried to play like they were low-level agents who didn't know anything. Britt was in the hall, creeping up to the room while the henchman held a knife to Joss's throat. After he pushed Joss to the ground, Pascal said that if the code to the WSB box Joss gave him wasn't accurate, he would consider her useless and get rid of her. After he left, Joss and Vaughn bickered in frustration, and Vaughn realized there had to be a mole at the bureau. A bit later, Britt opened the door. Joss begged her to help get them out of there and had to admit that they were WSB. Britt didn't explain how she was alive or why she was there, and told Jocelyn there was only so much she could do. She put a pair of manicure scissors in Joss's hand, told them they would have to help themselves, and left. Pascal caught Britt as she walked out the door. She asked him what the hell was going on and why he was kidnapping honeymooners. When Pascal said he was handling it, she told him he was terrible at taking initiative and not to do anything else until he got back. In the room, Joss showed the scissors to Vaughn. Later, when one of the henchmen came back into the captivity room, Joss and Vaughn surprised him by no longer being tied up, and Vaughn attacked him. Britt went back to her room and used the burner phone to call Jason, but it wouldn't go through. When the call finally went through, the reception was terrible. As Britt yelled into the phone, "Jason, you have to come back!" Pascal walked in, grabbed her by the arm, and told her this time she'd gone too far. Jason called Danny from Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. His flight was delayed. As he waited, he reflected on his recent conversations with Britt. He was in line to board when Britt's call finally went through. Because the reception was terrible, it is unclear what he heard. At his house, Drew got Willow's engagement ring out of the safe. While Trina and Kai were hiding in the bedroom, Drew placed the ring in front of a picture of him and Willow on the mantel, remarking that Willow would see that it was all going to work out. As he finished his drink, a shot was fired and hit him in the back. He fell to the floor, and a shadowy figure walked up and shot him in the back once more. After Trina and Kai thought they heard the shooter leave, Kai went out with a softball bat to check things out. Trina followed shortly after. She checked Drew and found a pulse. As she went to stop the bleeding, she wanted to call 911, but Kai said to leave him because they couldn't be there. They saw a car pull up and headed to the back door. Kai stopped to leave the front door slightly open. Tracy walked up to find the front door ajar. She was stunned to find Drew shot on the floor. After checking for a pulse, she called the police while trying to stop the bleeding. The police and paramedics arrived. The detectives wanted to talk to Tracy, but she said she wasn't going to let her nephew ride in an ambulance by himself. However, Dante and Anna walked up as Tracy was about to leave. Dante called Scout's nanny, who said Scout was at Elila's kids' sleepover at camp. Anna asked Tracy to detail what happened. After explaining how she found Drew, Tracy went on to talk about the restraining orders and how out of control Drew had gotten. She also made a point of saying that, because of the restraining orders on Danny and Rocco, Scout couldn't even visit Monica, whose few joys these days included seeing the children. Tracy claimed to have come by to try to reason with Drew. Dante found the safe still open and signs that someone had come in through the back door. He said there didn't appear to be signs of a struggle, and the only thing out of place was the softball bat left on the living room floor. Tracy left for the PCPD to give an official statement. Dante said there was a long list of people who wanted Drew dead, and Anna wondered who was at the top. At his WSB office, Brennan was listening to jazz on his phone while attempting to relax. Colette came in to ask if he'd heard from Joss and Vaughn, but he hadn't. Again, she pushed him to admit the Five Poppies mission was a failure, and he needed to end it. He questioned if she wanted to see him fail. Colette asked Brennan to let her go to the Five Poppies to clean up the mess of an operation. Carly arrived. She was upset and wanted Brennan's honesty. After the fight she'd had with Drew, she reflected on how she was with Drew for over a year and loved him, but ended up being completely wrong about him. Brennan realized she was now afraid she might be wrong about him too. Carly said Brennan had been so good to her and understood he was being as transparent as he could be. She was anxious and sorry about being worried about him, but couldn't face being wrong again about someone. Brennan held her hands and said he couldn't promise he would never hurt her, but said, "Just the thought of ever causing you pain. That tears me apart." Brennan expressed how badly he wanted them to be together and gave her a romantic kiss. Thankful, she told him it meant more to him than he'd ever know that he listened to her and was always so upfront with her. Anna called Brennan to let him know Drew had been shot. Carly was surprised to hear the news and asked if they knew who did it or if there were any witnesses. Brennan answered no to both questions and commented that it was good she was with him the whole time. Isaiah was asleep at his house when Portia crawled into bed and surprised him. As they were kissing, Portia got a call from the hospital that there was an incoming VIP and they needed a chief of staff. She immediately got dressed and left. At the hospital, Anna and Chase were discussing the Judge Herron murder case. Chase theorized that it was Drew who killed Herron since she was the judge in Willow's custody case, and he might fear Willow would leave him if she were able to get the kids on her own. Anna was skeptical, but Chase kept coming up with reasons why Drew would be a plausible suspect. Elsewhere, Lucas asked Elizabeth if she'd seen Willow because he needed the tests he ordered. Elizabeth had to admit she thought Willow had walked out on her shift. Later, when Willow arrived soaking wet, Elizabeth sent her to put on some dry scrubs. When Lucas came back around, Elizabeth gave him the test results he'd been wanting and let him know Willow was back. Elizabeth said, apparently, Willow had left to clear her head and got caught in the rain. Lucas clarified that Willow left without permission and didn't tell anyone where she was going. Elizabeth understood Lucas thought she was making excuses for Willow, but explained she just wanted to help Willow the way people had helped her when she was in trouble. He said she was a compassionate person, but also reminded her that she was the head nurse and needed to be careful. Willow wouldn't take her down with her. Chase found Willow as she was coming out of the elevator. He told her about Drew getting shot, and she fainted in his arms. He took her to one of the family rooms to recover. Meanwhile, Lucas and Elizabeth were working to save Drew. They needed to stabilize him so they could remove the bullets that were lodged close to his spine. Elizabeth updated Portia when she arrived. From her stoic reaction, it was hard to tell if Portia wasn't surprised or just uncaring that Drew was shot. Later, Elizabeth told Portia that they were able to bring Drew's blood volume back up after transfusions, stabilize him, and move him to the OR for surgery to remove the bullets. Because Dr. Dugan hadn't arrived yet, Portia told Lucas she would scrub in to help with the surgery. In the Quartermain kitchen, Wiley was sitting with Brooke Lynn, having hot chocolate, when Michael arrived with wet hair from the rain. Wiley couldn't sleep because he'd had a bad dream. They sat down to talk at the kitchen table. Wiley asked why Michael was all wet, but he didn't answer when called from his emergency phone. Michael said he got caught in the rain and forgot his phone in the car. When he tried to comfort Wiley by telling him not to worry because he would always be with him and Amelia, Wiley commented that his mommy said the same thing, and now they never saw her. He worried the judge would also tell Michael he couldn't see them. Brooke Lynn and Michael comforted him by talking about how many people loved him and would always be there for him. After putting Wiley to bed, Michael came back to the kitchen. Brooke Lynn asked if he really thought it was best for Wiley and Amelia not to see their mom at all. He said if Willow was the same person she used to be, he would want her to see the kids, but she had changed into someone who only cared about what she wanted. Michael told her about Willow going back to Drew. He felt Willow was continuing to be irrational, and he'd do whatever it took to keep her away from Wiley and Amelia. Trina and Kai went back to her and Joss's apartment. Trina was very troubled by the fact that they left and didn't call the police. Kai said they were guilty of trespassing and burglary and wouldn't be able to explain hiding in Drew's bedroom. Kai looked for news alerts about Drew on his phone while Trina continued to have issues with the way they left Drew. Kai explained that he saw the car pull up and left the door ajar on purpose so that the person would come in to find Drew. He also showed Trina the copy of the altered test results he found right before he ran out of the house. She was thankful, but also realized she couldn't tell her parents they were in the clear since no one could know they were there. "Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, Messy Syrup. It's me, Abby, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. Here are your General Hospital spoilers for Thursday, September 4th, 2025. Anna and Dante have their work cut out for them as they question suspects. The entire town seemed to want Drew dead, but only one person pulled the trigger on a gun, twice. Dante heads over to Alexis' place to question her, but Alexis doesn't want to talk. In fact, she asks Dante to leave. Is she worried about the man she has locked in the basement, or does she not like Dante's line of questioning? Perhaps she brought Scout home with her, but how will she explain the man in the basement? Willow is still reeling from the fact that Drew was shot. She seemed shocked, but she also disappeared when the shooting took place. When Nina arrives at the hospital, Willow asks how her mother knew what happened to Drew. Will Nina tell her that when a congressman is shot, it typically makes the news? Over at Monica's house, Tracy tells Michael that Monica cannot know what happened to Drew. Monica's health is still failing, and Tracy is determined to protect her emotional well-being. That might be easier said than done, considering how news of the shooting spreads like wildfire throughout Port Charles. Plus, there's that little thing called news, which we are sure Monica can get while resting in her bedroom. Trina worries that her mother might do something extreme to protect her now that Drew has been shot. She can't tell Portia about having Heather Weber's test results, but she also knows that her mom is desperate and might do something insane if she thinks Trina might be in more trouble. As for Curtis, he confides in Jordan. Aside from his beef with Drew, Curtis now thinks his marriage is over, but is Jordan willing to be a consolation prize? Curtis doesn't even know that his wife declared them through and had sex with Isaiah within minutes. And it wasn't a one-time thing. General Hospital spoilers reveal that we have to ask, did Michael Corinthos witness Drew Kane's shooting? Could Michael have been lurking outside when shots were fired? In the September 2nd episode, Michael had a conversation with Christina Corinthos Davis in his office, but she had plenty of time to head home afterward and call out for a missing Alexis Davis. That means Michael had time to take a drive of his own and potentially land at Drew's place. It's possible Michael went there to toss some threats around and have a confrontation with Drew, but he might have faced a big surprise instead. What if Michael arrived at the house right around the time the shooter appeared and slipped inside? Michael might have stayed back and found himself with a front row seat to the bloody Drew horror show that just played out. It would have been easy for Michael to see who entered before he heard the gunshots. Michael might have even witnessed the whole thing through the window, so all this could add another layer of drama. Depending on who pulled the trigger, Michael might have a motive to protect the shooter and try to keep them out of prison. We could certainly buy the idea of Michael staying tight-lipped if he saw someone like Curtis Ashford or Alexis Davis going after Drew. However, the situation could be extra complicated if Michael saw Willow Tate target Drew instead. GH's September 3rd preview video shows Michael with wet hair, like he's been out in the storm, which fits with him possibly watching the events unfold at Drew's house. In that preview clip, Michael looks determined as he tells Brooklyn Quartermain that they'll do whatever it takes to keep Willow away from Wiley Corinthos and Amelia Corinthos. Could Michael be extra concerned after witnessing armed Willow go after Drew? Michael could contemplate turning Willow in, but he might worry he could fall under suspicion if the cops don't believe his side of the story. Of course, Michael might also be reluctant to send the mother of his children to the slammer, but he could still realize Willow is more unstable than ever and must be kept away from the kids. This could become leverage for Michael if he threatens to send Willow to prison unless she drops any visitation or custody pursuit. General Hospital spoilers for Thursday, September 4th, reveal that Nina Reeves will face a tricky Drew Kane question while Tracy Quartermain protects Monica Quartermain. Alexis Davis will also kick Dante Falconeri out, so here's what viewers will see next. For starters, Trina Robinson will wonder if Portia Robinson might have done something even more extreme tonight, so she'll fret to Kai Taylor about her mom potentially trying to take out Drew. Meanwhile, Lulu Spencer will meet with someone at the Port Charles Grill and express surprise over a risk they're taking. Lulu will assume this must be big and may get someone to go on the record for an article or something along those lines. It could be Nina who meets with Lulu since she'll make a bold move on Thursday's show. However, Nina will also end up at GH, where she'll seek updates on Drew's ordeal. That'll leave Willow Tate suspicious, since she'll wonder how Nina knew about Drew getting shot. Nina might argue that she heard it on the news since the shooting may be public knowledge by then. But could there be more to the story? As for Tracy, she'll warn Michael Corinthos that they have to make sure Monica never hears about this. Of course, it could be difficult to keep Monica in the dark, since word of this crime will spread rapidly. Anna Devane and Harrison Chase will also spend some time questioning suspects in Thursday's episode. Chase will defend someone's innocence, so that might be Willow or even Tracy. At Alexis's place, she'll face Dante Falconeri's grilling session. Alexis will eventually try to shut things down, since it'll be clear to her that she's a suspect. "I'm gonna have to ask you to leave," Alexis warns Dante in Thursday's GH preview video. Alexis may point out that Dante doesn't have enough evidence to charge her with anything and do her best to end this conversation. Finally, Curtis Ashford will open up to Jordan Ashford, so he may fume over Drew and stir up some suspicions when it comes to his own actions at Drew's house. General Hospital spoilers say this investigation will come with some huge surprises, so stay tuned. During the heyday of General Hospital, Finola Hughes and Tristan Rogers became central figures in some of the soap's most iconic storylines, all under the watchful eye of trailblazing executive producer Gloria Monty. She saved the show from cancellation and turned it into must-watch television in the late 1970s and 1980s. Since Rogers' passing, Hughes has been sharing her loving memories of working with him and recently opened up about how working with Monty wasn't just about high-stakes, world-saving spy games on daytime TV. It was also about a collaborative spirit behind the scenes that helped cement their legacy in soap history. On Instagram, General Hospital's Finola Hughes shared some pics of her and Tristan Rogers dressed up in 1920s formal attire. She captioned them, "I literally have no clue what story this was or what we were doing. If anyone remembers, go for it. It was either a sting-up or fancy dress. I've got nada. All I know is that whatever the scene was, we would be planning ideas." She then referenced the legendary Gloria Monty, explaining that the powerhouse producer was okay with their improv. She noted that they were only allowed to do so if they didn't make any mistakes. She added that Monty was very supportive of any kind of exploration. She'd hear us out, but then, just as easily, roll her eyes up and say, "Good God, absolutely not." So, you never knew which way the proverbial cookie would crumble. She lovingly ended it with, "For Tris." Hughes had also referenced a fan at Imaginary Eureka, who had an amazing General Hospital recall, writing, "It was 1987, the caper that would later take you to Mount Rushmore. You were at a 20s themed party at Elena's, Rebecca Holden Hampton's house with Dusty, Sean Cassidy, and Terry, Robin Bernard." The fan continued by explaining that Elena tried killing Anna with carbon monoxide, but Duke Lavery and Sean Donnelly rescued her. They continued noting, "You and Robert faked your deaths, hiding in the catacombs, with one of Olin's Beulah Quo many cousins in the Asian district." Hughes was thrilled with this and responded to the fan, "At Imaginary Erica, OMG, FTW, thank you." The fans were thrilled at the photos and story recap, as General Hospital follower at Love Fort Swift 13 commented, "Thank you for sharing these, not only to honor a great actor, but for allowing us to return down memory lane." At DMK207 shared the sentiment of many by writing, "Sharing these memories is such a beautiful way to remember Tristan and your iconic collaboration and long friendship. Thank you." Many fans were blown right down memory lane as at Kastubi commented, "I love this. Absolutely gorgeous, both of you. Matt Rushmore Caper, 1920s party, Dusty and Terry. Dusty was programmed by Elena. The good old days. Again, thanks for sharing your wonderful memories of Tristan. He was just the best." And at Amanda113 wrote the heartfelt, "I'm loving this look back on GH memory lane of one of the greatest super couples of all time. I hope the current showrunners honor his legacy and showcase how special this all was." General Hospital spoilers update for Thursday, September 4th reveals that Drew Kane's operating room outcome is coming up while Willow Tate grills Nina Reeves and Trina Robinson suspects Portia Robinson. For starters, Harrison Chase will talk to Anna Devane about Drew's case. Chase might insist that Willow's horrified reaction to Drew's ordeal proves she's innocent, but Anna may not be so sure. Chase might also think Tracy Quartermain's behavior proves she didn't pull the trigger. Since Tracy called 911 and made an effort to save Drew, it wouldn't make sense for her to be the one who tried to wipe him out. Speaking of Tracy, she'll speak with Michael Corinthos about the importance of leaving Monica Quartermain in the dark on all the Drew drama. However, Congressman Kane's shooting is sure to become major news any minute now, so Monica could indeed find out what happened soon. While Anna and Chase question some possible culprits, Dante Falconeri will do the same at Alexis Davis' house. Alexis will try to get rid of Dante, who'll worry she might have gone too far in her mission to take Drew down. Trina will have a similar mentality when it comes to her mom, since Portia Robinson has been known to take drastic action. We'll see Trina open up to Kai Taylor about the possibility that Portia tried to end Drew permanently. Portia offered to scrub in on Drew's surgery, but sabotaging his procedure could be tough to pull off with other doctors involved. With that in mind, Portia may just have to accept it if Drew pulls through, and all signs point to him indeed surviving his time in the OR. Over with Curtis Ashford, he'll use Jordan Ashford as his confidant following his marriage blow-up. Jordan and Curtis might be together when they get updates on Drew's shooting crisis. At the Port Charles Grill, Lulu Spencer will sit down with someone who's willing to take a huge risk. Will it be Nina Reeves, since GH Spoilers confirm she'll do something risky on Thursday's show? Even if it's someone else who meets with Lulu instead, Nina will land in a tight spot at the hospital. It looks like Nina will quiz Willow about Drew getting shot, so Willow will have questions about how her mom found out. It's possible Nina pumped 2 bullets in Drew herself, or that she witnessed who did. Willow remains a suspect since we all know she's capable of lying and playing dumb, just like she's been doing in the baby stalker case. Regardless, Nina may have a good answer for Willow if the story's already gone public at that point. General Hospital spoilers say Drew's shooter will remain on the loose for a while, so stay tuned for more clues on who's responsible. As previously reported, Ryan Pavey is returning to General Hospital. Now the actor is talking about how said return came about and teased what viewers can expect to see when he is back on screen. Pavey shared his thoughts on returning to the ABC soap that gave him his big break in the new issue of TV Guide magazine, which covers TV listings starting Monday, September 8th, and is on sale now. He revealed that he had no intentions of returning to GH. As viewers recalled, Ryan died on screen in early 2018 and was given a full funeral with honors. Viewers saw him in the casket, so if he's back as Nathan, it's going to take some doing. One reason Pavey left GH was so that he could, in addition to doing other things, take care of his mother, who was ill. He also wanted to focus on his jewelry business, Fortunate Wanderer. The actor also shot some Hallmark movies. A text from GH executive producer Frank Valentini opened the door for Pavey to rejoin the ABC serial. While he was away from acting, Pavey reset his perspective on things. "Mom's better to a degree," Pavey shares. He adds that much of the instability in his personal life that necessitated a time of peace has calmed down. Story details are being kept under wraps as to who Pavey will be playing. Will he be a resurrected Nathan, a twin, a clone, or someone else? As we saw both Britt and Nathan die on screen, the show may not want to ask viewers to suspend belief a second time, as Britt has cheated the Grim Reaper. However, it's possible that Nathan did too. "We've got some fun stuff planned," Pavey shared. "I wouldn't come back for something vanilla. It's going to be a blast." Since exiting GH, Pavey has appeared in the films Under the Christmas Sky, Fourth Down in Love, A Fabled Holiday, 2 Tickets to Paradise, Hearts of Stars, Coyote Creek Christmas, A Little Daytime Drama, Don't Go Breaking My Heart, and A Timeless Christmas. Port Charles has weathered mob wars, medical crises, and betrayals, but nothing could have prepared the town for the violent downfall of Drew Kane. Once seen as a hero and leader, Drew's descent into obsession, corruption, and cruelty left him one of the most hated men in town. From blackmailing Portia Robinson, tearing young Scout away from her family, and waging a relentless war against the Corinthos clan, Drew had created enemies at every turn, but his reign of terror ended not with a political scandal, but with blood on the floor of his own living room. On what began as an ordinary night, Drew poured himself a drink, staring at a ring meant for Willow Tate, convincing himself his fractured world was finally about to fall into place. "It's all going to work out, Willow. You'll see," he whispered, words that would become his last moment of confidence. Unbeknownst to Drew, Trina Robinson and her friend Kai Taylor had broken into the house, desperate to find the evidence Drew used to blackmail Portia. But instead of justice, they stumbled into horror. From their hiding spot in the bedroom, they froze as a gunshot tore through the quiet. Drew collapsed, a shadowy figure stepping forward to fire a second round, execution style. The intruder's face remained hidden, leaving Trina and Kai shaken, silent witnesses to a crime they would never forget. But they weren't the only witnesses. Hidden in the shadows, little Scout saw everything. Already traumatized by her father's cruel manipulation, her mother Sam McCall's absence, and Drew's calculated efforts to keep her apart from Danny and Rocco, Scout was about to shoulder the heaviest burden of all. When Detective Dante Falconeri arrived at the scene, he found Scout trembling, broken, and terrified. Gently coaxing the child, Dante expected fragments of a clue, never the earth-shattering revelations Scout delivered through tears. It was Danny, her own half-brother. The words cut through the room like a blade, leaving Dante stunned. What had seemed like a tangled web of possible suspects suddenly crystallized into a gut-wrenching family tragedy. Danny Morgan, Jason Morgan's son, the boy who had spent years trying to protect his little sister, had finally snapped. Drew's cruelty had driven him to the edge. His threats to have Danny arrested for kidnapping when he only wanted time with Scout, his cold reminders that Danny was just a half-brother, his destruction of the fragile Quartermain bonds. Every wound, every insult, built until the breaking point came. And now, in Scout's eyes, Danny had become the executioner of the man who had torn their family apart. The revelation doesn't just shatter one family, it threatens to rip Port Charles down the middle. The Quartermains, already fractured, will be devastated. Sam, caught between protecting her son and supporting her daughter, faces an impossible choice. The Corinthos family, long at odds with Drew, must reckon with their role in his downfall. And as Dante weighs his duty as a cop against his ties to Jason's son, the pressure mounts for answers. One truth is certain: Drew Kane's death has left a trail of secrets, lies, and broken hearts, and Scout's innocent voice may be the one that forever changes the future of the Morgan and Quartermain families. General Hospital's Jens Austin Astrup recently joined Maurice Benard on his mental health series State of Mind for an emotional sit-down interview. The young actor opened up about his heartbreaking family history, his father's tragic death, and the challenges he and his sister faced growing up. Astrup revealed that when he was just 15 years old, his father died by suicide. He told Benard, "He was depressed for sure. I think it was a culmination of a lot of things. I think he had a lot of regret. I think he felt a lot of guilt. Life was getting too hard. I think even money was too hard for him. We really struggled growing up. We struggled pretty severely." One memory stood out vividly for Astrup. As a boy, he desperately wanted a new pair of tennis shoes, but his father initially couldn't afford them. A week later, however, his dad surprised him with the shoes. Sadly, soon after, Astrup tore them during a biking accident. When he confessed, his father became very upset. Astrup recalled that this emotional exchange happened only about 2 weeks before his dad took his life. Shortly before his death, Astrup's father reconnected with a high school friend on Facebook Messenger and expressed regret over getting angry with his son about the shoes, a sign of how much financial strain and emotional pain he had been carrying. Astrup also opened up about his parents' difficult marriage. His mother and father divorced about 1.5 years before his father's death, and the relationship had been turbulent for some time. After his father passed away, Astrup's mother became homeless, leaving him and his sister to move in with their great aunt and uncle, who took them in as their own. The struggles didn't end there. Astrup revealed that his sister faced years of drug addiction, incarceration, and mental health battles. However, he shared with pride that the two have since reconnected and rebuilt their bond. Despite such a painful past, Astrup has turned his life into one of resilience and success. Bernard praised the young actor during the interview, noting how polished, professional, and positive he has become. Astrup's honesty and strength left viewers with deep admiration for the GH star. General Hospital spoilers reveal that Cameron Matheson recently hinted at Drew's revenge and offered a clue about his character's survival. In an interview with So.D. Nice, Matheson made an "I'm gonna punch right back" comment that made it seem like Drew's not done wreaking havoc in Port Charles. Cameron Matheson debuted as a Drew recast in 21 and portrayed a good guy at the time. Drew remained a heroic character for multiple storylines, but GH writers eventually decided to take the character in a more sinister direction. Although Matheson was a little reluctant to make the change at first, he ultimately learned to embrace the fun of playing a baddie. Matheson admitted it was sort of like a little fantasy escape, since he's obviously not this horrible in real life. Now Matheson just goes with the flow and leans into portraying a villain. The show definitely delivered quite the whodunit when a mysterious figure shot Drew twice in his own home. In order to set up that twist, Matheson acknowledged that they had to take Drew to some downright disgusting places. Even Matheson was surprised by some of the low blows Drew's delivered and awful strategies that he's resorted to. Tackling the changes in his character has been a challenge for Matheson, but he also confessed that it got easier as the storyline moved along. As for this Drew mystery, Matheson had some interesting comments about that as well. Laura Wright dropped a hint on social media last month by comparing Drew to J.R. Ewing from Dallas, and that's a comparison Matheson also made. You know, I watched Dallas back in the day, and in many ways, it's very in line with the Who Shot J.R. story. I don't care if you are the punching bag for all of Port Charles, you're still the center of the story, and that feels really cool. I'm like, bring it on! Let me be the punching bag. I got this, and I'm gonna punch right back, Matheson said. Of course, if Drew's still got some fight left in him, then he may not be as dead as so many fans would like to believe. Cameron Matheson already replied to a fan on Instagram in August and confirmed he wasn't leaving the show. If that's true, it explains why Matheson's still talking about punching back and perhaps setting up Drew's revenge now that he's taken a couple bullets. General Hospital spoilers indicate that 6 Drew Kane shooter suspects were revealed in the show's preview video for the week of September 15, but even more are on the way. Let's begin with the 6 that the promo offered, since GH chose to cast suspicion on those particular characters first. After Drew gets shot, Anna Devane and Dante Falconeri will consider who's at the top of the suspect list. GH's weekly preview features some quick flashes of people who might have pulled the trigger on Drew, starting with Portia Robinson. Portia has been pushed to her limit lately, so could she go as far as trying to take Drew out for good? Trina Robinson will be rattled in the coming episodes, so she may get updates on this shocking Drew news and fear the worst about her mom's actions. 2. Sonny Corinthos shot John Jagger Cates dead on the Quartermain property, so we all know he's capable of going to extremes to take out a threat. That doesn't necessarily mean Sonny will be guilty of going after Drew, but the PCPD will still consider Sonny a suspect in the whodunit ahead. Sonny has been ranting about Drew getting what he deserves, so he'll be questioned in the aftermath of Drew's ordeal. As for Willow Tate, it looks like she'll turn against Drew all over again and land in suspicious territory. Willow has proven she's unstable and out of control lately, so we could certainly imagine her seeking revenge on Drew for ruining her life. Curtis Ashford is another suspect highlighted in the weekly promo, which isn't surprising since he threatened Drew's life recently. It's clear that Curtis would do anything to protect his family, so he'll be on the list when the PCPD investigates. In addition to worrying about Portia, Trina may find herself terrified of what Curtis might have done too. In other words, Trina might have good reasons to suspect one or both of her parents in the episodes to come. Nina Reeves made the promo suspect list, which is a no-brainer since she also threatened to kill Drew. We wouldn't put it past this mama bear to try and eliminate Drew after all the pain he's caused Willow. The cops will look into what Nina did that night, so there's a chance she might be to blame for targeting Drew. Even if Nina isn't responsible, she might make a mess if she covers for Willow or someone else. Michael Corinthos is the final suspect who shows up in the preview video, so he'll fall under scrutiny when it comes to this case as well. Since Michael loathes Drew and wants him gone, the cops will no doubt wonder how far he'd go to make that happen. Michael may not be the guilty party, but the point of a whodunit is to throw suspicion all over the place and take the story to some interesting places. There'll be some wrong turns along the way, but that's all part of the plan. Of course, there'll be more suspects to consider as this storyline moves along. Alexis Davis, Carly Spencer, Tracy Quartermain, Martin Gray, Jen Sidwell, and others around Port Charles could face questions. General Hospital spoilers reveal that Cameron Matheson recently hinted at Drew's revenge and offered a clue about his character's survival. In an interview with Esod, Matheson made an "I'm gonna punch right back" comment that made it seem like Drew's not done wreaking havoc in Port Charles. Cameron Matheson already replied to a fan on Instagram in August and confirmed he wasn't leaving the show. If that's true, it explains why Matheson's still talking about punching back and perhaps setting up Drew's revenge now that he's taken a couple bullets. We should also note that JR survived his own whodunit on Dallas, which feels like another clue that Drew may do the same. Britt gives a chilling directive to wait, while Carly second-guesses her choices with Drew, and Kai urges Trina to stay low until the gunfire stops. The next General Hospital spoilers video for Wednesday, September 3, 2025, shows Britt warning someone not to act, while Michael confides in Brooklyn, and Elizabeth anxiously asks where someone has been. Britt tells someone, "Don't do anything else until he gets back." She's either talking to Pascal or Tomas. Whoever it may be, Joss and Vaughn are still being held prisoner with their lives on the line. Meanwhile, Michael tells Brooklyn, "We'll do whatever it takes to keep Willow away from Wiley and Amelia." According to the weekly teasers, Michael confides in Brooklyn, so he's probably informing her that Judge Heron is dead. A worried Elizabeth asks someone, "Where have you been? Did Willow return to work after giving Drew a double tap?" Still in captivity, Vaughn informs Jocelyn, "There's a mole at the bureau." As he's figuring that out, Jack asks someone, "You that eager to see me fail?" Later, Carly shows up at his office and worries, "I made a huge mistake with Drew." Still hiding in Jack's house, Kai quietly tells Trina, "We don't know who's shooting or if they're done." He seems cool under pressure, which is good. Considering the teasers also show that Anna and Dante respond to a 911 call, perhaps Trina and Kai are the ones who do that after they feel the coast is clear. Portia could end up in an uncomfortable situation. General Hospital's Portia does it again. For a smart woman, she certainly gets herself in a lot of trouble. Will she be in another "who's your daddy" scenario? After months and months of Portia's jealousy over Jordan, she is the one who cheated on Curtis. The chief of staff wasn't totally off base. Her husband and his ex-wife definitely have lingering feelings for each other, but they never acted on them. Curtis was committed to Portia and making their marriage work. The couple recently had a romantic date, declared their love, and slept together after drifting apart. It looked like they would make it, but Portia's jealousy reared its ugly head once again when her husband called Jordan for help when his Aunt Stella was arrested. It was the wrong place, wrong time for her to pick a fight, and Curtis left very angry. Isaiah had been drooling over Portia for a while, and he was waiting in the wings when Curtis stormed out. It was no surprise when the two of them fell into each other's arms in her office. Trina believed that Taggart was her father, only to discover that Portia had an affair with Curtis and didn't know who her bio-dad was. A DNA test revealed that Curtis was the baby daddy, and Taggart disappeared into thin air. Will Portia end up in an identical situation after all these years? She slept with both men within days of each other. The doctor may very well end up pregnant once again. History will repeat itself, where she will not know which one is the father. Portia also has experience switching blood tests. Would she dare do that again to get the guy she wants? Which one would that be? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.